Another Lindsay Lohan classic.
This is our 5th Lohan movie.
It's really funny. It's about to be our 6th when her new Netflix one drops.
Irish Wish.
That's right. You got it in your calendar already. I'm Erin.
I'm Tom.
This is Baby's First Watch List, here with another episode as we stave off sickness and the impending doom of a 4 p.m. sunset.
Listen, there are 4 things in life that are inevitable: death, taxes, sickness, and Max Verstappen winning the Formula One Grand Prix this weekend.
That is actually very true.
He won in Vegas. So.
I know, I saw. So today's episode is about the 1998 family film The Parent Trap.
Yeah, Disney. I think I knew it was Disney, but I never really put it together that it was Disney.
Yeah, it's Disney, but it's like Disney adjacent.
Yeah, there's people smoke in this movie. It's a little bit not Disney for a Disney movie.
Yeah, exactly. I love this movie. I saw it when I was a kid. I've watched it a billion times.
I've never seen it, and I did like it. I knew I was gonna like it.
Yes.
I'm a Lohan stan.
You are. This movie was directed by Nancy Meyers in her directorial debut.
That was weird. She obviously was a screenwriter before.
Yes.
She just wasn't she never directed before.
Right, exactly. Yeah. I did sometimes confuse her with Nora Ephron.
Well, last week on this podcast, for all one of you that listened to Tampopo.
Oh, there you go.
No, there was more than one.
Oh, well, that's good. She was Oscar nominated for her script for Private Benjamin. That's that, is it Goldie Hawn?
It's funny because, I think so. It's funny because I could name 6 Nancy Meyers movies before I would name the one that she was Oscar nominated for.
Well, and it's interesting because that's her first, on her Wikipedia, that's her first screenwriting credit. So I wonder if that's the first one she wrote and she just got an Oscar nomination. She also co-wrote The Father of the Bride and its sequel.
Okay.
And she directed movies after Parent Trap, like What Women Want, Something's Gotta Give, which is a classic, The Holiday, which I'm kind of volleying for putting that into our December list.
We'll see. Great Keanu in Something's Gotta Give.
Yeah, he's awesome.
Yeah.
She also directed It's Complicated and The Internship, which is
No, The Intern.
Not The Intern. Oh,
She
yes,
did
The
direct
Intern, not The Internship.
Yes.
The Intern, which is Robert De Niro and Anne Hathaway.
Yes. And Rene Russo, apparently.
I have seen all of those movies. I haven't seen the Father of the Bride movies or Private Benjamin, but all of her directorial movies that I listed, I've seen.
I've only seen The Parent Trap and Something's Gotta Give.
I like her. She got good stuff.
Well, I can tell just from watching those movies that she has a certain vibe to her.
Exactly. She co-wrote this movie with Charles Shire, who she did a lot of stuff with, and a screenplay credit is also given to David Swift.
I was going to mention that if you didn't.
Yeah, and he wrote and directed the original Parent Trap movie in 1961. The movie is an adaptation of a German novel called Lisa and Lottie. I don't think Oreos are mentioned in that, though. The cinematographer is Dean Cundy.
Yes.
Who is a Baby's First Watch List favorite.
Our guy. We've probably done 5 Cundy movies too at this point.
His credits include Halloween, The Thing, which we got to do The Thing maybe next year, early next year, because it's definitely a winter movie.
It's a winter movie. Maybe January, February.
That'd be fun. Back to the Future, all of them. Who Framed Roger Rabbit and Jurassic Park, which I'm willing to rewatch. I didn't like it when I saw it.
Well, there's been a few movies that we've gone back and watched and enjoyed more.
Yeah, exactly.
Through this podcast even.
Right. Editor Stephen A. Ritter. He won an Oscar for editing 1973's The Right Stuff.
Okay.
The music was by Alan Silvestri, who worked often with Robert Zemeckis and who has 2 Oscar nominations. I said for music associated with Forrest Gump and The Polar Express. So Forrest Gump, it was for score, and then Polar Express, it was for original song.
Oh, okay.
2 Tom Hanks movies. This movie, The Parent Trap, stars Lindsay Lohan in a double role, Dennis Quaid and Natasha Richardson. What do you know Dennis Quaid from?
Dennis Quaid, he was in one of the baseball movies, wasn't
he?
The
Rookie.
The Rookie.
That's what I know him from. Is The Rookie.
I always confused until we watched Field of Dreams. Field of Dreams, The Natural, The Rookie. I kind of got all those jumbled together because I had never seen any of them.
Right.
Dennis Quaid, what else is he known for? I obviously know who he is.
He was married to Meg Ryan for 10 years.
He's always been around. Oh, The Day After Tomorrow.
Oh yeah, I guess.
I watched that in school.
I watched it.
What else we got here? He wasn't in that Footloose. He was in 2011 Footloose.
Yeah, right. Like everybody knows Dennis Quaid, but like
I could pick him out of a crowd. Like I
what
know
do
who
you know
he
Dennis
is.
Quaid from? That's a question I don't know the answer to. What do you know Dennis Quaid from? For me, it's The Parent Trap and The Rookie. But like with The Rookie, like
Yeah.
it just happened to catch me at like when I was in like early middle school. So like that's when I started getting into movies. So I watched it, kind of thing.
He was in Any Given Sunday.
Okay.
I saw him in Legion, which I did not remember he was in Legion 2010. Yeah, no, I don't know. I just feel like he's one of those guys that's like almost like always been around, but I just haven't seen a lot of his movies.
Yeah. Right. It's weird.
He's good in this. He's fine.
Yeah. He's fine. And Natasha Richardson is the other lead. Natasha Richardson, I went down like a big rabbit hole with in her Wikipedia. She was really known for her theater roles.
Natasha Richardson is a great actress name.
It is, isn't it? So her mom is Vanessa Redgrave, who is an actress of yesteryear who is actually still alive. And until very recently was like still like acting on Broadway and stuff. Like it's crazy. To tell you how old Vanessa Redgrave is, not to be mean, she played the Driving Miss Daisy role on Broadway. You know, the Miss Daisy role in 2011.
Oh man.
So Natasha Richardson really came up in. Oh, she's also the daughter of Tony Richardson, who is
Yes.
a famous director.
Yes.
So she came up in theater. That's actually, I think, how she met her second husband, Liam Neeson, who she was married to from 1994 until her death in 2009 from a ski accident, which is a really sad, awful thing.
Sonny Bono.
Yes, exactly. And although she was just doing a beginning ski lesson and just hit her head, which is like terrifying. She did do a lot of different roles though in movies, and I love her in this movie.
She's great. I think she's like the heart of the movie. I mean, outside of Lindsay Lohan.
She gives such Princess Di vibes, but with a little like fun twist to it. I love her. And Lindsay Lohan, of course, is such a superstar.
Yeah. We will say it over and over again.
Yeah, she's the best.
Every time we cover a Lohan movie, even Falling for Christmas.
Yeah. So some other notable people in this movie are Lisa Ann Waters, who is now in Abbott Elementary.
Walter.
Lisa Ann Walter, and she's in Abbott Elementary now. She played Chessy, who's the not butler, she's the housekeeper, the housekeeper nanny. And another person. This is kind of funny. You know how like there's the two Marvas.
Yes.
That run the camp. The younger one, Marva Jr., I guess, she was Janice in Friends.
Okay.
She's the lady with the annoying voice.
Okay.
I don't know.
Sure.
So it's kind of interesting there. And then, do you know Kat Graham? She's
No.
like a singer, and then she was in like the Vampire Diaries and all kinds of stuff. She was just like one of the campers, like one of their friends, which is kind of cool.
I'm almost positive the boy camper is Lindsay Lohan's brother.
Oh, fun. That's cute.
There's a boy who like accidentally ends up at
it's like, Mom,
camp.
come pick me up. And then he ends up
All-girls
becoming
camp.
like really good friends with everybody.
Yeah, he's credited as Lost Boy at Camp. It is her brother.
So this movie was filmed in London and throughout California because like it's Nancy Meyers, baby. We're spending the money. We're getting the interiors and the exteriors.
Lots of cream colored stuff.
Lots of cream colors, lots of like classy stuff.
Which is great for me as someone who can't really
see color
that much. I could tell beiges, like I'm good with those.
There you go. There were lots of homages to the original 1961 film, like 10 of them. Including them singing the song that they sing in the original movie, which is fun. The movie was a success. It premiered at number 2 at the box office, right behind Saving Private Ryan.
Yeah, the two big.
Which is a smart technique, I think, marketing thing to release Saving Private Ryan and this movie at the same time, because then like the dads can take their dads and then the moms will take the kids.
So it was,
you know?
Well, they weren't like the same, like they were Saving Private Ryan wasn't Disney, was it?
No. But I just mean it was just it's a smart thing to release
the
movies at the same time, because then everybody has something to go to.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Even though like.
No, that was DreamWorks and Paramount.
Okay.
But still.
The movie made $92.1 million on a mere $15 million budget. It also netted an 87% on Rotten Tomatoes. The critics liked this movie.
I don't really have anything bad to say about it. It's a little long.
It is a little long. It's
But
over 2 hours.
But it's not. It was a few minutes longer than Princess Diaries, right?
Yeah.
And I thought Princess Diaries felt twice as long as this movie.
Yeah, totally. And it really launched both Lindsay Lohan's career as well as the directorial career of Nancy Meyers.
Yeah.
So
I think Nancy would have been okay regardless.
I mean, yeah, of course, but this,
because she was already established in some way.
Right. The only other thing I have here is my NJ connections. Do you want to hear them?
Wow. Yeah. Let's do it.
Okay. Get connected for free. Free New Jersey connections. So number one.
That was the remix with the plural at the end.
Number one, Alan Silvestri. You had to tell me this one.
I did.
Was like searching far and wide.
She was like, "Oh, I got a New Jersey connection," and I was like, "Is it Alan Silvestri?" She was like, "No."
So he's from Teaneck,
New Jersey,
which is way up there. And he also had a band that was Teaneck based back in the day. How about this one? The dad from the original film, Brian Keith, was born in Bayonne.
Oh, wow.
How about that?
That's a step removed. Okay.
Yep.
What do we got now?
Nancy Meyers is from Philadelphia.
Which is closer to us than Teaneck. So.
Exactly.
And Bayonne.
And I looked up, I Google mapped the high school she graduated from, and it is less than an hour away from us. Yes, it's 58 minutes, but that is still less than an hour.
Listen, you choose your words wisely.
Exactly. And then finally...
Oh, we got another one? Yeah. Another step removed?
So
Kansas is in the same country as New Jersey?
What's the big food in this movie?
Oreos and peanut butter.
The first Oreo was sold to a grocer in Hoboken.
Where was it made?
All over. I tried to look it up. They originally though, it spent a lot of time being made in Hershey, Pennsylvania.
Okay.
Like at the Hershey factories. But now it's all over. And then there was a boycott, so now they're no longer in Chicago. And it's a whole thing.
I see that it was first developed in 1912 at Chessy in New York City.
Yeah, it was in Chessy, yeah. So, yeah. So those are my New Jersey connections.
That's a lot of connections. Without New Jersey, we wouldn't have the Parent Trap, I guess.
That's right. Or Oreos. We'd still have Oreos.
We'd have Oreos, but nobody would have sold them to anybody.
Exactly. All right. Give us the... what is it called?
Plot summary. This is weirdly a long. There's a lot going on in this movie.
Yeah, there's a lot of plot.
All right, let's get this on the road here.
Okay.
In 1986, Nick Parker, played by Dennis Quaid, and Elizabeth James, played by Natasha Richardson, meet and fall in love on the Queen Elizabeth II, which is like a boat. It's like a cruise,
it's a big,
like a liner,
major one,
yacht.
Okay, but it's also the longest intro scene of all time.
It is
pre-credit. It's a credit scene. Or
maybe
whatever.
cut a little bit of the intro.
No, don't.
They eventually marry and have twin daughters, Hallie and Annie, both played by Lindsay Lohan. Eventually. However, they divorce shortly after the twins' birth. Nick has custody over Hallie and raises her on his vineyard in Napa, California, while Elizabeth, a wedding gown designer, raises Annie in London.
And they don't tell them that...
No, what? Yeah. That's the whole premise of the movie.
Nobody knows that they have, the girls don't know that they have a twin.
Right. 11 years and 9 months later, the twins are coincidentally sent to the same summer camp in, was it New York or Massachusetts or something? Maine. Where they form an intense rivalry. After Hallie and her friends play a prank on Annie's cabin, the twins are sent to the isolation cabin, where they begin to bond over their similarities. After discovering the parallels between their respective family situations, they show one another a photograph of their parents and realize that they are twins who were separated at birth. Mm-hmm. Wow. They decide to switch places to convince their parents to reconcile. Each girl trains the other to act like her. Annie gets a haircut, the whole nine.
Okay, no. But let's face it. Only Annie has to do anything.
What do you mean? Hallie has to have a British accent.
Okay, but Hallie has to both cut her long hair and pierce her ears.
Yeah.
That's not fair.
Don't be British, I guess. In London, Hallie happily meets Elizabeth, the family butler Martin, and her maternal grandfather Charles, while Annie meets Nick and their family nanny Chessy in California. Not Jessie, don't get it twisted.
It's Chessy.
Much to Annie's dismay, she learns that Nick is engaged to Meredith Blake, played by the actress whose name I forgot to write down, a 26-year-old publicist who only wants to marry Nick for his fortune. Meredith is planning on sending Hallie to boarding school once she and Nick get married.
She's kind of a queen, though.
Annie calls Hallie and implores her to bring their mother to California to try to break up Nick and Meredith, but Hallie refuses, desperate to spend more one-on-one time with her mother. After Chessy notices changes in Hallie's behavior, Annie confesses her identity, and Chessy agrees to keep it a secret from Nick. While on the phone with Annie discussing Nick's upcoming wedding to Meredith, Hallie in London is caught by Charles. After telling Elizabeth the truth, the two decide to travel to California to establish joint custody of the twins between each parent. The twins, with the help of Martin and Chessy, arrange for a meeting at the Stafford Hotel in California between Nick and Elizabeth. But they don't tell Nick. Upon reuniting with Elizabeth, Nick realizes that he has had Annie with him since the end of camp, though he's delighted by this because he hadn't seen her in however long. Elizabeth also meets Meredith and learns of her engagement to Nick. Annie and Hallie attempt to recreate the night their parents met by arranging dinner on a yacht. Nick and Elizabeth discuss their breakup, which occurred when Elizabeth ran off after a fight, secretly hoping that Nick would follow her, but he did not. Chekhov's escape.
Yes.
They agree on shared custody, but decide not to resume their relationship. Elizabeth plans to fly back to London with Annie, but the twins refuse to reveal who's who unless the entire family takes a camping trip, which is a good little gag.
Yeah, that's cute.
Elizabeth insists that Meredith go in her place so that she can become acquainted with the twins before marrying Nick. On the trip, the twins play a series of, let's just call it dangerous pranks on Meredith, leading to her furiously demanding that Nick chooses between her or them. And he goes, them. Get the picture?
Yeah, like
THEM.
That's so weird.
Yeah,
he just didn't care.
Yeah, he just
like,
smirked
okay.
and was like...
Broke up an engagement. Like, okay.
After the camping trip, Nick and Elizabeth realize that they are still in love, but decide to go their separate ways nevertheless. When Annie and Elizabeth arrive back in London, they find who else but Nick and Hallie just blowing money on this when this could have happened overseas. Mm-hmm. Nick says that he did not want to make the same mistake of letting Elizabeth go again, and they share a kiss. By the end, Elizabeth and Nick have remarried with Hallie and Annie as their bridesmaids, and Chessy and Martin have also gotten engaged.
At the wedding.
Yeah, that's The Parent Trap, baby.
It's a great movie.
It is really fun.
It's a great movie.
It is fun.
I love it. And it's a nice family-friendly movie, too.
Yeah.
It's one that, like, I've shown it at the end of the year to kids.
Yeah.
Before I realized it was 2 hours long, and then I was like, oh, okay. I can't
What does
really
this take
show
a
the
whole week
thing.
of class?
But the kids love it. Like, it's a really good one.
Right.
The only problem is that there's a whole scene where one of the twins talks to Nick about how, like, a girl's got to have a father and all this stuff.
Right.
And I was just like, I don't know about that. Like, showing, with that scene. But besides that, it's kids love it. So here's my first question. All right. So Nancy Meyers is known for having, like, really, like, all her characters are rich.
Oh, yeah.
They're all rich.
Yeah. She's not dealing with no middle class.
No, it's you're going 1%ers here.
Yeah.
And The Parent Trap is no exception. So let's say you're Hallie and or Annie, okay? And you have to choose where to live with your parents now that they're together. You've got Nick, who's got the vineyard in Napa Valley, and you have Elizabeth, who lives in, like, a Mary Poppins, like, beautiful house in downtown London, with, like, the most beautiful interiors ever, walkable to all the, like, sites in London. Who's got the sweeter digs?
Well, if you're talking weather, it's obviously California.
Okay, that's fair.
Which you have to count the weather. You got to count the vineyard, the whole deal. I think, though, maybe I'm crazy. I'm probably going to be in the minority on this, but I think I would go with London.
I think the London house is so beautiful.
That's more my speed than a vineyard in California.
Mm-hmm.
Though I do love parts of California that I've been to. I would like to be able to access those. But I also would like to do something different that I've never done before and go to London and like, live in England.
Mm-hmm. I've been to both Napa Valley and London.
1%er over here.
No, I'm really not.
As in we have 1% of the money that we should have.
1% of the money I've had in my life right now. But I love both. Like, there's no
there's no wrong. There's no wrong choice.
I mean, if I had to choose between the two, all right, we're doing 6 months here, 6
Right.
months there. That's not an issue. But as far as, like, which setting I thought was like the coolest to me, it was the London apartment. Like, that's just so cool. And she has her own store. She's a bridal designer. Like, how cool is that?
Yeah, I'm also not super into like wines and like the whole vineyard aspect. Like, it's cool, and of course his place is great. Doesn't he have like a big pool too?
Yeah, he does.
Like, it looks awesome.
Yeah.
I just think that I would be more interested in the London location.
Cool. Okay. So, yeah, by the end of this movie, you have two relationships. You have Elizabeth and Nick,
Yes.
and you have Chessy and Martin, who are the butler and the housekeeper
Yes.
for the, each parent. Which relationship do you think, or both, or none, neither, is going to go the distance?
I think the funny thing to say is going to be Martin and Chessy.
They have a much higher chance, in my opinion.
I'm going to disagree with that. And the reason is, do we know that it's anything more than an infatuation?
I mean, I don't know.
We don't see Martin and Chessy. We don't see them building the groundwork.
Well, we don't see that with Elizabeth and Nick either.
Sure we do.
No, we
sure
don't.
We do. They do when they talk over the wine that has all the dust on it.
Oh, come on.
And how they're mature now. Nick makes the mature choice. He tells Elizabeth earlier on, like, I was young, I was dumb.
We were bad-tempered.
Yeah. And then when Meredith gets a bad temper with him, he's just chill. He's like, THEM.
Them. Get the picture?
And that's it.
All right.
I think that at this point in his life, Nick has more perspective than he had before.
While I do understand that,
Martin and Chessy are throwaway side characters.
All right. So while I understand that, like, you're right, Nick definitely has matured. He's much more chill than it seems like he was at the beginning.
Yeah.
Here's the problem, though. Like, I'm sorry, these two, there's something wrong because number one, they did not communicate at all. At all. For 11 years, they were like, do you know what the best option is? Is to make sure that we don't have to speak to each other at all. So we are going to separate our twin daughters so that they can't see each other and don't know each other exist. Is that really a good option?
I'm not standing here banging on the table saying that Nick and Elizabeth have made every correct choice. But what I am saying is that they have a better chance of staying together because they have a more fully formed relationship, in my opinion.
Here's the other
It's not
problem.
perfect.
Here's the other problem. There's two more. Number one, neither of them dated for a decade.
Yeah, well, we don't necessarily know that.
Except for the girls are like, no, neither of them has ever brought anybody around, ever.
But maybe at the beginning, maybe it's just been since they've been conscious. Who knows?
Okay, so what, like at least
8 years ago.
And then finally...
Do we know about Chessy's dating history and Martin's dating history? I don't think so.
I wish we did. That would be so funny. And then finally... They both have, and I think this is a really important thing, they both have extremely successful careers on the other side of the globe from each other. And I think that because they've spent so much time throwing themselves into work the past decade, it's going to be a harder transition to kind of cut that and try and figure out logistically how it's going to work, because it is complicated.
It is complicated, just like the other Nancy Meyers movie. It's complicated.
Yes.
But what I will say to that is, I don't get the vibe that Nick is like necessarily. I think he can take or leave the vineyard, to be honest.
So?
He's rich as F. Like, I think that if it came down to it, not that he would necessarily move to London, but he seems like the one who would rearrange.
He would sell the vineyard or delegate a little bit.
Yeah, I think he would be the one to rearrange before whatever's going on when what's her name? Elizabeth is speaking French to whoever she's talking to. I think she's got a little bit more going on.
Okay. All right.
I'm going to go with Nick and Elizabeth on this one. I'm sorry to the people who were going to come here for a gimmicky answer of Martin and Chessy. You got the
Martin
realness.
And Chelsea is
Chelsea.
Martin and Chessy is like unhinged.
It's chaotic.
Like, there's no reason for that. But it's so funny because when we were watching the movie, like, you turned to me and said, what if they get together? And I was like, all right, good. This movie has a lot of needle drops in it.
Does it? Yeah, I guess it does.
It does. What's your favorite song in this movie?
Well,
did any stick out to you?
Well, now I need to take a second and go back.
Well, I'll tell you what mine is. I have always, and sorry for my stuffed up voice.
It's okay, I can edit it out. No, I can't at all.
No, you really can't. Auto-tune me. My favorite is...
Could you imagine?
Auto-tune me. Mine is easily, do you believe in magic in a young girl's heart? It's when they're at camp in the isolation cabin and they're teaching each other about each other's lives. So, like, Annie's telling Hallie about her grandfather in London, and then they're learning the handshake that her and Martin have, right? And they have, like, a whole... like board with all the like layouts of their houses so that they can kind of learn each other's lives. And it's just a really fun song to put it in there of these two girls that are like finding out so much about each other's lives, and it's this big like cool little thing, and I think that that's my favorite needle drop.
The only other one that I specifically, well, I remember the beginning had the Nat King Cole song. Yeah. The end was Natalie Cole.
Yes.
Which is like I don't know.
This will be.
Yeah. The only other song I'm looking at the soundtrack that I specifically remember is when they did "Here Comes the Sun," when Hallie like was
in London
for the first time, like looking at like the inside of the apartment.
Yeah,
and
all the statues. Is that what she looks at all the statues?
And they did the Abbey Road thing.
Yeah, yeah.
I mean, it's the low hanging fruit, but it's a good song.
It's cute. Do you know that? What's our little trivia among our friends with the "This will be an everlasting love"?
I don't know.
That was our friend Matt and Kate's first dance.
Oh yes, it was.
And they did a really good job with it.
I don't remember wedding details.
It was
well
like
as Erin
choreographed.
does.
It was gorgeous.
Yeah.
So nice.
I remember now that you said it.
There you go. All right. So tell me, I just want to know in general, what's your favorite thing about this movie, and what was your least favorite thing?
My least favorite thing, I didn't think it needed the part at the end where they go camping with Meredith. It felt clunky.
It's a classic part, though.
It felt clunky. Like, the plot was pretty much resolved.
Yeah.
And then
they're like, oh, let's add on another 20 minutes.
If the movie wasn't over 2 hours, I wouldn't have had a problem. Like, I don't think it's an issue. It just was like, it kind of felt like the movie should have been over.
Okay.
But it was good. What happened in it, except I don't like that they sent her out. She took one big sleeping pill or one giant sleeping pill, and they put her on the bed and they sent her out,
literal attempted
onto
murder.
the lake. She, like, if she rolls over, she's on a sleeping pill.
Mm-hmm.
God knows the milligrams.
Yeah.
God knows what sleeping pill it is.
Yeah.
She's dead.
Yeah.
We got freaking Jason at the bottom of the lake in Friday the 13th in the Parent Trap.
Yeah.
Didn't love that one.
Okay.
But the other stuff was harmless. The lizard thing, like all that stuff is fine. That was probably my least favorite, but I liked the movie overall. It's not like it was whatever. My favorite part, I just loved the nuances of Lindsay Lohan, what she was doing. She was playing 4 different characters in this movie. Right. She was playing Hallie, she was playing Annie, she was playing Annie as Hallie, and she was playing Hallie as Annie.
Yeah.
There are little, I mean, maybe I'm just reading into it, but it felt like when she was Hallie as Annie, her British accent wasn't as proper as it was when she was Annie playing herself. Like, her accent work was really good. Mm-hmm. It sounded like there were very subtle differences between the two of them. Mm-hmm. And I just think that for however old she was when she made this movie, that's really, really, really advanced.
Well, and I think Lindsay Lohan was just such a singular talent as a kid, like during that time period, that a lot of times in some of these earlier roles, critics like Ebert like compared her to other really like good actresses and actresses that were, legit. So like he in Freaky Friday said that she was reminiscent of like a Jodie Foster role.
Yeah.
Like Jodie Foster playing a part. And then he said that just like Haley Mills in the original Parent Trap, like Lohan not only like was the heart of the movie, but also kind of even took it a step further to really differentiate those roles.
Yeah.
Which is really cool. And then I know that with casting, they were looking for like a Diane Keaton like.
That's what Nancy Meyers said, right?
Yeah. Person. And like, how can you find that in an 11-year-old?
Yeah.
And she somehow pulls it off.
Yeah. It's a shame that she had her issues when she sort of got into her 20s, because she was excellent. Every time I see her, I'm like, she's a star. She's a superstar.
So I'm so happy that she's starting to come back into these.
Hopefully she has a nice like next phase of her career.
I hope so, because I really enjoy her. For me, my least favorite part is such like a minor quibble that I truly think this movie is close to perfect for what it's supposed to be.
Yeah.
My one thing is I wish they clearly established who Chessy was when she was introduced in the movie, because you don't know her role until way later. You kind of end up figuring it out yourself, but it's confusing at first to me.
Yeah, because I was like, is he remarried? Like, what's the deal here?
Yeah, at first you're like, wait, I thought that he didn't he wasn't dating, but is that the stepmom? And then you're like, wait, is that his sister? Like, who is that? And then you figure out later that she's, been working for the family for many years.
Yeah.
But there's only literally like one mention of that where she says to Martin, "Oh, I'm her butler," which is a cute line. But I was just like, that's like 3 hours into the movie. As far as my favorite thing, this is what I like. What I like about this movie a lot is that, to me, I felt invested in all of the characters, but really I liked Elizabeth and Nick, and I liked that they were actual, like, they felt like real human beings with personalities and with flaws.
That's what Ebert kind of said. He was like, I found myself surprised that I was actually invested in their relationship.
Exactly. And that's something that I think a lot of movies, if it's like, oh, the thing is the twins,
Yeah.
then, the parents are boring parents, whatever. This is one of the only movies where not only the kids are really interesting and I really like them, but I also really, really like the personalities of the parents. Like, would I ever date Nick? No.
Well,
Monster. But not a monster, just annoying. But I truly think that he's an interesting guy and well-intentioned or whatever. Like, so I think that's so cool that we actually have love interests that are interesting.
I'll get to Ebert later, but here's what he said about it. He said, he talked about the twins part, and he said, it's a splendid story premise, but in a way, the switch is just the setup, and the real story involves the parents, which is basically exactly what you're saying.
Yeah. And I truly love, the Natasha Richardson role is, just one of my favorite parent roles. I think she is so lovely, but she also has, nervous breakdowns. Yeah. You can see the anxiety when she goes from being her professional, confident self as a businesswoman and a mom.
She just falls apart the second that Nick gets involved.
That Nick gets mentioned. She absolutely falls apart.
Complete meltdown.
She's she's smoking a cigarette in the closet with her hair all crazy.
There's nothing in the suitcase.
Right. She has to imbibe on the flight over to San Francisco to kind of get enough strength to, meet him. And it's just, she's asking, oh, how does he look? How do I look? Well, she just is this confident, amazing woman and then just falls apart at this thing. And it's just very realistic that you can feel so confident in so many phases of your life, but there's one part of it where you're just oh, I don't know. And I love her in that. Love her in that role. So that's probably my favorite thing. Okay, my last question. It's a two-parter. Number one, Hallie and Annie both like the amazingly weird snack, which I'm not weird, of dipping Oreos in peanut butter, which most people say it's disgusting.
Who would ever say that?
No one would say that's disgusting. That sounds amazing. So to you, how do Oreos and peanut butter sound?
It sounds like a match made in heaven.
Yeah.
What are you talking about? What are you talking about, Hallie and Annie?
It sounds so good. And then if you were at camp and you met your long lost twin and you had to introduce the snacks that you brought and as your favorite snacks and you were 11, what would you be pulling out of your backpack to show to your long lost twin?
Well, it's weird because it would just be like Doritos. It would be nacho cheese Doritos, and it would be yeah, but everyone has this. What do you mean? What do you mean we're? What do you mean we're twins? The thing is on the train of Oreos. What I like to do with Oreos is probably disgusting to a lot of people. So I like soft baked cookies a lot, and so what I do with Oreos is I take the Oreo and I put it in milk and I literally let it sit there until it's falling apart. Ooh. And I eat it, and it's the best taste in the world. If somebody was doing that, I would be and also looked exactly like me. I would be
and had the same birthday.
I would be maybe we got something here.
Yeah.
If you hit all three, you got the birthday, you got the looking exactly alike, except for a slightly different hairstyle, and you got, maybe he has a pompadour or something instead of this nothing that I have, and you got the dipping the Oreo in milk until it's soggy, until it's like chalky, and putting it into your mouth and eating it.
Yeah.
Then we'll talk.
Okay. I think mine would be, if it's something that would be distinctive, it's growing up, my family always did this. My mom, we used to get bran flakes and then put milk in it and then put it in the fridge for half an hour.
Yeah.
And it's delicious.
It doesn't harden up.
No, it's like this. Well, it's kind of congeals, and
Okay.
it's
That sounds appetizing.
cold and it's delicious.
This is our comfort foods month, by the way, which I didn't say up top.
It's delicious. I swear, don't knock it until you tried it. You take bran flakes, okay, milk, covering it enough because you do not want any of the bran flakes to still be crunchy. No, you need it all soaked in there. You put it in the fridge for half an hour. You take it out. Heaven on earth. I'm not even joking. It is delicious.
I'm sorry for anyone who's listening to this that is just like, what is happening for
It's
these
delicious.
for mine too, for the past like 5 minutes? What is going on with these people?
So
I think we just lost some listeners.
No, I think people need to try it. And the other positive is that like bran flakes are a forgotten cereal. So like you're gonna get it for like $1.99.
If that.
If that. Get the bran flakes, pour the milk in, half an hour in the fridge. I like to put the spoon in the fridge with it, and then the spoon is also cold.
Okay.
It just adds to the experience.
Well, that's kind of like how I like to microwave ice cream for 10 seconds to get it
and
to
then
soften
you
up.
pour some chocolate syrup on it,
Yeah.
and it becomes soft serve.
It's like soup. Yeah.
It's good stuff.
Yeah.
All right. That's all that I got for questions.
All right. I have a couple. Let's see. Where am I? Okay. Why don't we have a secret handshake like Annie and the Butler? They do like a whole elaborate like butt tapping thing. Like they do the whole deal.
It's so cute.
Why don't we have a secret handshake? All
I don't know.
married couples should have to have a secret handshake.
All right. Well, make one then.
All right. We're going to debut our secret handshake soon.
Okay.
What's my other question? Did this Camp Walden look worth flying across the world for?
You know what? I actually was thinking like it would have been really cool to go to a camp like that.
I mean, yeah, a camp like that. Like, but where...
You know that camp was super expensive, too, if they sent their kids there, because they're so rich.
Yeah.
Like, you know it was expensive.
But it didn't look like it. It looked like the What Hot American Summer camp.
Which, again, would be fun.
I guess.
I would have loved to go to like a camp at age like 10 with all girls, a sleepaway camp for 2 months.
Yeah.
It's a little scary. You go a little out of your comfort zone to go there, you know, but I think it sounds like a blast. I never did camp.
But it's like, we're talking people from London being like, oh, I'm going to send my daughter to this camp in Maine.
It's like, you know, it's that whole we're living like others live kind of thing.
I guess.
Yeah. And then you do like, oh, it's the friendship bracelet making station. Oh, it's archery over here. Oh, you get to choose between canoeing and fencing, apparently.
I just think that it's a strange like premise.
Do you know how you know it's a very fancy camp?
Natasha Richardson sent her daughter there.
Well, yes. But no, Marva Sr. was like, oh, I love the fresh strawberries. The fact that there's fresh strawberries at the end of the breakfast buffet tells you that it is a fancy camp underneath the surface.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So the answer is yes.
Yes.
All right. So as we've talked about, the big food from the movie is obviously Oreos and peanut butter, but was there anything that you thought looked better or that was like super appetizing to you?
No.
I'm going to go with the breakfast that Chessy makes Annie as Hallie.
Oh, yeah, those pancakes?
The pancakes. Well, it's like the pancakes were the thing at the end. Mm-hmm. It was like all this like fresh fruit and like all this stuff. I have it up right here. Egg sunny side up, toast, freshly squeezed orange juice, and then she was like, and also, if you're still hungry, here's a stack of chocolate chip pancakes.
That does sound good.
And then she takes one bite of the toast and is like, I gotta go.
Gotta go. She also makes chili.
I was gonna say I also love the chili.
Yeah.
I'm a chili guy.
I don't eat chili. But
yeah. You don't even eat like bean chili?
Who's making me bean chili?
That's a good question. Not me.
You know what? They actually always had vegetarian chili at Ike in college.
Oh my God.
The dining hall always had like 3 soups, and one of them was always vegetarian chili. And I will tell you, I did eat that every now and then.
Yeah, I'm a
in
chili
between
guy.
my lunches of going to the walk and getting brown rice, and then going to the salad bar and getting shredded cheese and just eating that, which is what I've been eating for a little while now. Anyway,
this is not a very good foodie episode. I don't think. It's not Tampopo. Let's just say that.
No, definitely not.
My last question: do you have like movies that you like where someone plays multiple characters?
Okay, so I thought of like two of them, and they happen to just be twins.
I have
both of them.
I have a million of them. So go ahead.
So obviously the best one's Adaptation
One of the best.
with Nicolas Cage.
Well, yeah, if you got Double the Cage,
It's Double the Cage, Double the Chaos.
yeah,
That's a must.
Double the Cage portraying Charlie Kaufman.
If you have never seen Adaptation, you have to watch it because it's one of those movies that you're just like, that's movie magic. Like, you just don't realize what movies can be and what screenplays can be.
Yeah, the screenplay is it. Like, so if you haven't heard of it or don't know it or whatever, Adaptation, Charlie Kaufman's a screenwriter in real life. He was tasked to adapt a book called The Orchid Thief,
Which is a real book.
which is a real book by Susan Orlean, and he got writer's block, and so he wrote about a guy played by Nicolas Cage having writer's block
Yeah.
and trying to write a book about
The Orchid
the Orchid Thief
Yeah.
by Susan Orlean,
Yeah.
who I believe is played by Meryl Streep,
Yes.
and it's like bonkers.
Yeah.
It's wild.
And it ends up-
what's his name? Chris Cooper. Did he win?
He won an Oscar.
He won
for it.
Best Supporting Actor for it.
So basically, real life Charlie Kaufman, who also is known for Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind, Synecdoche, New York.
I'm thinking of ending things.
So a bunch of like those kind of like
Wacky cerebral
movies. Yeah,
Adaptation's a little bit more palatable than some of those.
It is, but it sounds wild because he in real life, you're gonna do an adaptation of this book, okay, and instead just writes about him as a character having that problem. Plus, he added in a twin that doesn't exist.
Yeah, a twin Cage. Yeah.
Yeah, and it also becomes totally wacky because Susan Orlean, who's like a real author,
Who is like works on the show How To with John Wilson.
Yeah, like,
who's like a real person who does real things currently still.
she ends up doing crazy stuff.
She's like in a Florida swamp with Chris Cooper.
It's chaotic.
Yeah.
It is such a cool movie. It just makes your mind be like, what?
Yeah.
But it also makes sense.
It does make sense. It's not like one of those movies where you're like, what did I just watch?
No, it's not like that at all.
Like, I'm thinking of ending things as like that.
Yeah. No, I really, and I did like Eternal Sunshine a lot
Me too.
more
Me
the
too.
last time I watched
Yeah.
it. But
Eternal Sunshine is probably actually, I said that
his most accessible.
Adaptation was more palatable, but Eternal Sunshine definitely is more so.
But a lot of Kaufman's movies that he either helped write or direct aren't my thing.
I really like them. Not even necessarily watching them, but I like thinking about them after the fact. Like Synecdoche, New York was like that for me.
That's not my thing. Even though I love Philip Seymour Hoffman, obviously.
Yeah, I think he's like the perfect muse for Kaufman too.
This one was a hit for me.
Yeah.
Another movie that has an actor playing two roles that I liked, The Social Network, Armie Hammer.
I thought about that one too.
Plays the Winklevoss twins.
The Winklevoss twins.
Which it was my first time ever seeing Armie Hammer in anything, so I thought that there were two of them.
Yeah.
Which that would have been real bad.
Nope. No, yeah, it would have been. Oh man.
Those were the two that I really thought of. Let me just say, I love The Social Network.
Oh yeah, me too.
That's a movie that really holds up.
We'll do that one at some point.
Oh, definitely. It's so good. And I love that it was like, oh, it's the Facebook movie. And it really just...
Well, that is what... So recently it was announced that Darren Aronofsky would be directing for A24 an Elon Musk movie.
Yeah.
And my first thought was like, I really don't need that. But on second thought, I'm like, if it's something like The Social Network, maybe I'll end up liking it.
If it's Darren Aronofsky, I really like his movies about people that aren't scary.
Black Swan.
I don't know, not Black Swan.
That's what I'm saying is the one that you were.
I like the Wrestler. One of my favorite
Requiem
movies.
for a Dream. You're talking about too.
I don't like that either.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah.
I liked The Wrestler, and you know what? I liked The Whale. I did.
Yeah.
Sue me. I liked The Whale.
Yeah.
The Wrestler's one of my favorite movies ever.
The Wrestler is a probably top 10 movie for me of all time.
And so I hope that if he does something, if that movie ends up coming out, whatever, I hope that it's an interesting movie about a guy.
Yeah.
And if it is scary, that kind of would be fun. So maybe I'm going against what I'm saying, because that kind of would be
A24,
fun.
maybe they give it a little Eggers spin,
a
like
little
The Witch or something.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So I have some of those. I also have some good ones and some bad ones. I actually have one that came out last year that was a sequel, but I don't want to really spoil it. Do you know which one I'm talking about? It's a woman who plays two roles, who plays her own sister.
Oh, yes. Yes, that's
yeah.
a good. That was a fun twist.
Yeah.
Yes.
There's also, this is kind of a spoiler too, but the movie came out 17 years ago. The Prestige.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah.
Christian Bale plays his own brother.
Yeah. I gotta rewatch that. I'm not so sure.
I loved it back in the day. I've seen
I
it like
know
5
you did,
times,
yeah.
but I don't know if I would love it as much now. But I'm interested in rewatching. Vertigo, which we covered.
Yeah,
She
that's a
doesn't-
good one.
She doesn't really play 2 characters, but she is acting in 2 different ways. So I guess
Yeah.
that's kind of a
That's a fun one.
wishy-washy one. Freaky Friday, of course.
Yeah.
Which we covered at length as well. The Great Dictator.
Oh, it's a great movie.
Yeah, it was Charlie Chaplin, and he played like the barber or whatever who was mistaken for the Adolf Hitler analog that he was also playing. And that was before a lot of the really bad stuff that happened, like the Holocaust stuff that was going on. It was like 1931, I think.
It was, was it before he was elected chancellor?
No,
he was
no,
elected
no, it
chancellor
wasn't.
in 1933.
It wasn't, but it was before. Oh, I'm sorry. No, it was 1940, so it was after.
So yeah,
after.
It was after he was already chancellor and all the bad stuff was starting.
Yeah. No, so I was wrong about that. But it was interesting because I feel like it was a time where the U.S. was still kind of...
I was going to say, it was before Pearl Harbor, so it was before
Yeah.
the U.S. became involved in World War II.
So it was a hot-button issue.
Exactly, and it really, I think, did an excellent job of highlighting the atrocities that were happening without it being a movie. Like, it really towed a line, which is kind of interesting, which now, looking back, he did it in a satirical way that I think really was, like, looking directly at people that were maybe, I don't know, not talking about what was happening in Europe or whatever, and was like, you need to pay attention.
Yeah.
And now, I watched it back when I was in
I watched
high
it a while
school.
ago, yeah.
Now looking back, it's an interesting kind of thing to see how it was done in the context of when it came out.
That's another one I'd love to rewatch.
Me too.
The thing I love about that is that it was written, directed, and produced by Chaplin.
Yes.
Which is crazy.
Yes. And it also has if I remember correctly, it's mostly a silent film, but he does have a big speech at the end that is in it. Yeah.
Yes. Us.
Yeah.
There's a bunch of people who play multiple characters.
Yep.
The whole family plays multiple characters.
The whole thing, yeah.
Yeah, that's like the whole movie. Lupita Nyong'o, I think, was actually... I don't always sit there and be like, oh, this person in this genre movie deserved an Oscar nomination. Like James McAvoy in Split, I see people say like, oh, he should have been nominated. And it's like, you can play 20 different surface level characters.
Right.
You're acting more. You're not necessarily acting better. And I liked him in that movie. I thought
That was a good movie.
I thought it was fun. Lupita Nyong'o in Us is amazing.
Yeah, she is.
We've got some bad ones. We've got Jack and Jill.
Yeah.
Depending on who you ask, Austin Powers. Mike Myers plays like 5 characters.
Sure.
I'm an Austin Powers fan, but again, I would have to rewatch because God knows what that stuff aged like.
Yeah.
Have you ever seen...
What about Big Mama's House?
Yeah. All the Clumps movies.
Yep.
The Nutty Professors.
Yep.
Yeah. Have you ever seen the movie Possession? I don't think you've seen it. It's a horror movie. There's a woman who plays 2 different characters in that one, and she's ridiculous.
What about the Medea movies? Because Tyler Perry's in some of them as a different character.
Yeah. I mean, a lot of those like Eddie Murphy did that a lot, like Nutty Professor.
You know what? I don't know if have you ever seen any of the Medea movies?
I've seen some of them, like when they're on TV.
Diary of a Mad Black Woman.
I know the first one is like sad, right?
Yeah, Diary of a Mad Black Woman is really good, and so is Medea's Family Reunion. I like both of those movies. I do. They're both really good.
Okay.
Are you gonna watch them? Wait, we should do them for the podcast.
Yeah, sure. So I have some facts. So Lindsay Lohan also, I know I mentioned Freaky Friday. I have The Parent Trap. I haven't seen this movie, but she also played 2 characters in I Know Who Killed Me.
Yes, she does.
So that's 3 separate movies where Lindsay Lohan played multiple characters.
Yeah, Queen.
And so I have one more thing, and it's Lee Marvin won an Academy Award for Best Actor for a dual role in Cat Ballou in 1965, which is crazy to win for something like that. Nick Cage was nominated for Best Actor for adaptation.
Should have won. I don't know who actually won. So.
And I'll look that up. Peter Sellers was nominated for a triple role in Doctor Strangelove.
Oh, that's
for
pretty
Best
cool.
Actor.
We gotta watch that movie too.
Yeah, definitely. Let's see, 2003 Academy Awards. Who did Nicolas Cage lose to? He should have won. I don't care who it was. Adrian Brody, the pianist.
We were just talking about
We
Adrian
were
Brody
just talking
yesterday.
about our guy Adrian Brody, who we totally love.
You know what, though? I hear he's really good in that movie.
Yeah, no, I haven't seen it, so can't really judge. But it is also a RP movie.
The director, yeah, that's not great. But I actually do want to see that movie. Is it a movie that takes place in the 1940s? Is it a Holocaust
I think it's a
movie?
World War II movie. Yeah.
I would definitely be interested
I think
in
it's a
watching
Poland
that.
Poland
yeah.
movie. Okay, so that's all my questions. Notes. I wrote that water balloon sleeping prank is a great one.
It is good.
It's a great one.
The whole thing.
I'm impressed by the pranks in this movie.
The pranks are hardcore. I don't like pranks, but those were funny.
I also wrote, I love the idea that eating Oreos and peanut butter is nature, not nurture.
Yeah.
Like,
okay, but like,
wait, but no matter what their upbringing was, they would have found Oreos and peanut butter.
it's kind of crazy though. Like that kind of stuff is legit. Like, remember the documentary 3 Identical Strangers?
Oh yeah.
Like they all ended up like having a lot of the same character traits, a lot of the same interests, a lot of the same like likes and dislikes. Didn't they all like marry a woman with the like women with the same name or something? Like it's
Something crazy
it's
like
something
that.
crazy like that. It's just this weird thing. I don't know.
Yeah.
So maybe that is a thing. You'll find Oreos and peanut butter.
Yep. And yeah, those are the main notes because I already talked about the accents and all the subtleties that she had when she was acting. What else we got? Roger Ebert. He gave The Parent Trap 3 stars out of 4.
Okay.
Again, he gets it.
Yeah.
He wrote, this is at the time, 1998. The Parent Trap is based on story elements so ancient and foolproof, they must have their roots in Shakespeare's day. The twins changing places, their divorced parents falling in love again, and for low comedy, their servants falling in love too. And of course, there's a wicked would-be stepmother lurking about. It's the stuff of Elizabethan comedy resurrected in modern times as the British film Twice Upon a Time in 1953, and in the classic 1961 film The Parent Trap. The story is ageless, and so is the gimmick. I'll teach you to be me, and you teach me to be you, one twin says, after they meet by chance at summer camp and realize they've been raised separately by divorced parents. As I said, it's a splendid story premise, but in a way, the switch is just the setup, and the real story involves the parents. They're played by Dennis Quaid and Natasha Richardson, who bring such humor and warmth to the movie that I was amazed to find myself actually caring about their romance.
Me and Raj, man.
He ends and says, the movie was directed by Nancy Meyers and produced by Charles Shire. They wrote the script with David Swift. Myers and Shire have specialized in light domestic comedies like Baby Boom and Father of the Bride, and they make this into a good one, a family picture that's not too soppy for adults. My only reservation involves the ear-piercing scene, which I suspect will lead to an epidemic of do-it-yourself home surgery.
Oh, actually, when I showed this to my kids, I always, when that scene came up, I say, don't do that.
Yeah.
So
they're probably
yes.
like, oh, come to the back of the room.
100%.
All right. Tom's top 5 trivia. I do have 5 this time. Hallie and Annie are named after director Nancy Meyers and producer Charles Shire's children. The real Hallie and Annie have small roles in The Parent Trap. Hallie played a camper named Lindsay, and Annie was the woman who brought Elizabeth the first aid kit at the pool.
Oh, my goodness. Oh, I feel bad then. We were like talking trash about her.
We?
Yeah, we.
What was the line that... Here you go.
Sure. Hold on. Here you go.
Good job. Good job, Annie Shire. Also...
No, it wasn't sure. Hold on. It was, yeah, of course. Here you go.
3 years after they filmed the movie, Lisa and Walter coincidentally had identical twin boys who were born on October 11th.
That's freaky.
Yeah. The man who weds the parents at the beginning of the movie, Dean Cundy.
Yeah!
Director of photography, the legend, the man himself, Dean Cundy.
We love you, Dean.
In the movie, Dennis Quaid is engaged to a 26-year-old gold digger. Coincidentally, he married his 4th wife when she was 26 years old.
Stop.
As a result, his co-star Elaine Hendricks, who played Meredith, tweeted to him, better watch out for those twins.
Oh, my. She's a queen.
During the poker game, this is my favorite. During the poker game, so there's in the beginning when they're still sort of like learning who each other are and like realizing that they look alike, they're having this little rivalry. So for some reason they both play poker, which apparently is also nature and not nurture.
Yeah, and they're both good at fencing too.
Yes. During the poker game, Annie gets a straight flush, odds 72,000 to 1, and Hallie gets a royal flush, odds 650,000 to 1.
Yeah.
The odds for the two girls getting these two hands is around 46.8 billion to 1. This is more poker hands than have been played at all of the major casinos on the Las Vegas Strip over the past 100 years.
Well, doesn't that tell you that like this is Kismet, right?
I know.
Them meeting, them figuring each other out, them being at the same camp, it all connects.
For reference, the odds of winning the lottery is about 14 million to 1. 14 million as compared
So it's
to
like 5 bajillion times
as
that.
compared to 46 billion.
I love that.
Yeah. Casting. Who auditioned for the roles of Hallie and Annie, you probably, it's a who's who of that time period. You got Michelle Trachtenberg, Jenna Malone, who allegedly turned the role down 3 times.
Jenna Malone did? Oh, wow.
Mara Wilson and Scarlett Johansson all were tried out for Annie.
Literally all of them, I understand. Yeah.
And there was every person who tried out for Nick. I didn't even list it. It's every single person you could possibly think of that either auditioned or was considered. And it was all the Kevin Costner. It was like everyone in that Dennis Quaid vein. Mm-hmm. And then for the only other one I have for Martin, the other people who were considered before Simon Coons was cast were Rowan Atkinson, John Cleese, and Alan Rickman.
Yeah. All of those work, but I like the Martin we got because he had a little bit of a goofiness.
Oh, yeah. No issue with it at all. Well, I think that Atkinson and Cleese might have been a little bit too goofy. Especially Atkinson might have gone a little bit too far with it.
Yeah. We got to do Love Actually next month.
Oh, man.
Oh, yeah. We're doing The Holiday. We're doing Love Actually. You better believe it,
Atkinson and Rickman.
It is. See, we need to do it. It's a sign.
Oh, man. Is it a sign?
Yeah,
we'll talk about it.
And Liam Neeson's in it, too.
We'll talk about it.
Yes. And the guy who played Ferb.
Okay. Oh, I didn't do the taglines. It's 1. Twice the fun, double the trouble.
All right, tell what happened.
I was like, oh, you want to hear what the tagline is? And she said, double trouble.
I could write these things.
Literally took a quarter of a second for us to come up with pretty much the tagline.
Yep.
Yeah. It's still better than the Princess Diaries tagline.
What one was that?
It was something
like she rocks, she rules, she reigns.
Yeah. Why? What else do I have? I got all my trivia. All right, I have 2 little deep dives. One of them I'll do Nancy Meyers. So Nancy Meyers did an interview. She did a keynote speech that was covered by The Hollywood Reporter, and it was about design secrets of her movies.
Well, her mom was an interior designer, right?
I think so. She said, "It's my thing. It's something I like, though I think it overshadows the work a little bit sometimes." And she said she talks about the Meryl Streep's kitchen, and it's complicated. Mm-hmm. And she said, "Oh yeah, it's crazy. It's a gorgeous kitchen, but it's not the only gorgeous kitchen." And then she said that about Diane Keaton's kitchen and Something's Gotta Give.
Gorgeous.
She said it was the story though that gave the room life because there was an emotional response. Jack kisses her in that kitchen. They fell in love in that kitchen. So she talked about a lot of her movies, and when she was talking about The Parent Trap, she worked with production designer Dean Tavoularis. Did you mention him?
No.
In the beginning? They created a Napa Valley house and a London place fit for Architectural Digest. Mm-hmm. Tavoularis decided he wanted to paint the London residence pumpkin, a color Myers resisted until he went ahead and painted it. She loved it and came to see it as a subtle welcome for the twin who goes to London from Napa. She said Lindsay's hair color was similar. It was something that would make her feel at home and be comfortable there. So what I love about that is how much thought that gets put into even the colors and the production design. To me, when you really, funny movie to compare it with like The Shining. Yeah. We talked a lot about the production design in The Shining, and it just adds so much to the movie and to what the director and writer are trying to get across.
What I like, a really solid and sometimes transcendent production design will make a movie go from like good to like wow. Like for me, that was Nightmare Alley from a couple years ago.
Yeah.
The production design was so beautiful that like I will always remember that movie being one of my favorite.
Cate Blanchett's Office.
Yes, my favorite production design movies ever. Like because it was just so beautiful.
Yeah.
And The Parent Trap, it has that. It has that. All the Nancy Meyers movies has that.
Yeah, you could show me a room from a Nancy Meyers movie, and I could probably pick it out. Mm-hmm. And again, like I said at the top, I haven't seen that, man. I've only seen a couple.
Yep.
But this movie looks like Something's Gotta Give to me.
100%.
The other deep dive I have...
Oh, wait, before you do that, though.
Go ahead.
Something else. Nancy Meyers' design has been kind of this thing with Gen X and millennial women, too, to the level that if you are a Bravo fan, if you're a part of Bravo Nation, and you watch Vanderpump Rules, Ariana and Katie are in the process still, I guess, of... There's a theory that it's, like, not actually a real thing,
Really?
a real business that is actually going to open. But who knows? Maybe it will be. They have a sandwich shop opening called Something About Her, and the interior is like a replica of Nancy Meyers designed
Really?
interiors, which is so gorgeous.
Yeah.
Very, very beautiful.
It's classy.
It's classy.
It's classy without being stuffy.
Exactly. It still seems lived in,
Yeah.
but is lived in by like the fanciest lady you've ever met.
Yeah, people who would not look at you if you saw them on the street.
Yeah. It's like Ina Garden.
Well, first of all, you wouldn't see them on the street.
I feel like Ina Garden only goes to cheese shops that are like Nancy Meyers designed. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I do, actually.
She's like, oh, I'm going to my friend Francois's cheese shop, and she walks in and it's like a Nancy Meyers.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so my other deep dive is just I was really interested in seeing how in 1998 they were able to do this dual role stuff, because there's times where you see them both on the screen.
Yeah,
like you
do.
see both of you see two Lindsay Lohan faces.
Yeah.
So I watched a video with the artists who worked on the movie, and it was like not long, maybe 10 minutes. It wasn't like a crazy long 9 minutes. So here's how they did it. Well, digital post-production work obviously isn't as robust and as powerful as it is now.
Yeah.
But it also isn't like it was in the 60s.
Yeah.
So there was like, we were sort of developing a lot of the, like they were talking about some of the programs that they were using. And it's some programs that are still around, but they were in their like infancy at this point.
Yeah.
So Lindsay would act with a photo double. And they would use some techniques commonly used in fields like this. They would shoot over the shoulder. You would see Lindsay's face and see the photo double from behind. For example, when Annie and Hallie hug in the cabin, you see Hallie's face hugging Annie, and then it switches to the other side, and it's Annie's face hugging Allie, but they're two separate shots. Annie, not Allie. They had about 6 girls who were photo doubles for Lindsay, and when there were scenes with both of them, they would shoot it twice. They would do Lindsay on one side and Lindsay on the other and sort of paste it over.
Yep.
So they would use a blue screen so that they could cut Lindsay out of the one scene and place her into another. Like when she's trying to stop the Malvas from going into Annie's cabin and she's standing in front of the door, and then Hallie comes up.
With the screen door behind her.
Annie comes up in the screen door behind her. They filmed Hallie in front of a blue screen so they could paste Hallie over the door. So she's not actually in front of the door.
Smart.
Filming the dialogue, they would have a little earpiece in Lindsay's ear so that when she recorded the first set of dialogue, she'd be able to hear the prior recording.
Wild.
And react as the second character as needed.
Wow.
They had a camera that was controlled robotically in order to recreate some of the exact shots from the other take. So, for example, they would set up the camera, they would press record, then as that camera moved, when they were done, it would reset, they would hit play, and it would redo the exact same movement, so that they weren't adding extra space in either of the takes. The artist also noted that the fact that there was a double made it more realistic, as opposed to her just talking to like a monitor or something, because Lindsay was able to organically act against someone. She was looking at the correct eye height. The double also was casting shadows, which helped with immersion, and made it look better. There's so many little tricks they used to clean up some of the footage. In one scene, for example, the double walked in front of Natasha Richardson, and Lindsay didn't in the next take. So they had to edit Richardson's coat so that, because it was when they're like walking out the door, and the way that they edited the coat, you can't even tell. It looks like it's just her coat the whole time. I just thought it was really, really amazing, especially given that it was somewhat limited in terms of the technological editing softwares compared to what we have today. Yep. Like if I can edit this podcast today, like what I have on my computer is probably stronger almost than what the programs that they had in 1998. Right. So the fact that they were able to figure out all these techniques and all these ways to do this is amazing, and it's vital to the movie, honestly.
I agree.
I think that's it. I think that's all I've got for The Parent Trap. So, does The Parent Trap make Baby's First Watch List?
Yeah!
Yeah, and I had pretty strong confidence, even though I hadn't seen it, that it would make Baby's First Watch List, because
every movie makes it.
Besides that, every movie makes it, but it's a strong candidate. It's a strong one. Yeah, what are your takeaways?
Let's see. One of my big takeaways is never fully no, here's my takeaway. My takeaway is communication is key. How about that?
Sure.
It's really important that you are communicating, especially when you are in a relationship with somebody and need to overcome obstacles. Because if you don't do that, then you end up with crazy situations like this, which makes a good movie, but would not be fun in real life.
No, I would hate this in real life.
Yeah.
I would say, I mean, are you talking about between like Nick and Elizabeth?
Yeah.
Or yeah, okay. So I would double that with communication between parent and child.
Yeah.
So Annie and Hallie, as the parent, I should be communicating better with my child. Like there's no way that they should have known
100%.
or that they shouldn't have known what was going on here.
Mhm.
No matter how much, even if, and it doesn't seem like they did, even if Nick and Elizabeth hated each other,
Right.
you still got to make sure that the kids are good. And
Because that's going to lead to some trust issues if for your entire life.
And it's not like these families couldn't make a long distance relationship work. Like it's not like neither side could afford to make trips across. Like these are, again,
Right.
these are the 1%. They can do whatever they want.
Well, not to mention they were able to work out an agreement over one dinner.
Right. In 45 seconds.
45 seconds. Be like, all right, so over Christmas, you're going over there for whatever.
Right.
They were able to work it out in one night.
Right.
So why not figure it out?
Yeah. Communication is key.
That's right.
All right. So that was The Parent Trap. And next week we are finishing up our Comfort Foods month with another proper food movie.
Mm-hmm.
Ratatouille.
Ratatouille.
I have seen it probably 10 times, but I've never seen
really?
it from start to finish.
Wow.
I've seen probably every scene in the movie a million times.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
I've only seen it a couple times.
Yeah.
But I like it. It's fun. And it's got a wonderful food scene at the end.
And there's a lot of good food.
Yeah,
stuff in
but
this
there's
movie,
one
so.
in particular.
Okay. So yeah, that's The Parent Trap. And we have to get to our child who has woken up from his
He woke
nap.
up from his nap.
All right. So we will see you next week for Ratatouille.
Okay, goodbye.
Bye.